The Sony PlayStation 6 gets leaked due to the Microsoft deal. I also have the details on what the specifications might look like given the release date and the current advancement of technology, as well as what games might look like and what video games might be out by then, and what PlayStation exclusives might also be out by then. What's up, world? It's Super back giving in the video, and today we're checking out all things Sony PlayStation 6. Okay, so the Sony PlayStation 6 ends up getting leaked because of the Microsoft Activision deal, which Sony's been really putting the hammer down on this deal, and they do not want it to go through. But in one of the recent reports on the Microsoft deal, both Sony and Microsoft shared documents on how COD will release if the buyout goes through. In early documents, Microsoft mentioned Sony would have certain access to COD till 2027. Elsewhere in the document, it references the release date of Sony's next console as redacted. But right after, it mentioned Sony having access to COD until then. Given that info, one could reasonably conclude that the PlayStation 6 will launch in 2027 after the aforementioned COD access expires. It's kind of crazy how short the lifespan of the last generation was, and I also thought it was pretty outdated when it came out. You know, I had a lot of people saying that, hey man, this is exactly like a 2080 Ti, this thing's super powerful, that can do all types of crazy stuff. Listen, my 2070 has still been unmatched by any of the current gen stuff. I can push higher frame rate at better graphic fidelity at 1440p either native or DLSS quality. I don't have to use FSR. Now, I will say right at the launch time, especially with how the GPUs went in the GPU market, kind of completely crashing with all the cryptocurrency, it was quite the certain deal. However, we're really seeing the limitation of the current gen, especially with Hogwarts Legacy, even though it wasn't really optimized, and a few of the titles that really can't push anything more than 60 FPS. Now, for most people, that's perfectly fine. They are fine with 60 FPS. However, I do think that consoles should strive for 140 or even 120, even though I know they do, but that's only for certain games, and add a performance mode and it has everything disabled, lighting's turned off. You know, I don't even have to do that for my system. I don't turn everything to low. I can just put it on medium or high for most settings. So hopefully eventually the new consoles, or at least this next generation, will be able to achieve 120 FPS at a higher graphic fidelity, and I really do think that the console players will start to appreciate that higher frame rate. But anyways, let's get on to the specifications, what we might actually see from the PlayStation 6. Now, using the current rate of advancement of technology and applying that to a console released in 2027, I used ChatGPT to predict what the specifications of the PlayStation 6 might look like. And for the CPU, of course, we'll see a multi-core processor, but they show with clock speeds of the range of 6 to 7 gigahertz with up to 24 cores. There could also be some more features, including AI capabilities, allowing for more advanced gameplay and immersive experiences. Now, next up we have the GPU. And they say that the GPU might be up to 100 teraflops or over 100 teraflops of power and feature ray tracing technology. Now, of course, the current gen already has ray tracing technology. However, this is a software implementation and not like NVIDIA's hardware ray tracing, which is a lot better as far as performance goes. The hardware ray tracing actually has those tensor cores, which allow for a much more fluid experience. And I definitely think we could see 100 teraflops of power, which is a lot. It is quite a bit. In fact, my graphics card only goes, I think, like 16 or 20 teraflops of power. The 4090 is 86 teraflops of power, so it would be even more powerful than a 4090, but that would make sense because this is 4 years down the line, and technology obviously will increase, and the prices will come down on at least that type of power. Now, next up we have the RAM, and obviously this one isn't as special, but it does still make a bunch of difference, and they did say the PlayStation 6 could potentially feature 128 gigabytes of RAM or more high-speed power RAM. Which, yeah, I hope they have like a certain clock rate, and they announce the clock rate of the RAM, they tell you the cache latency, all the stuff that the PC guys get into. I really do hope they get into those specifications. Now, the solid state drive or storage, which will probably be hopefully an NVMe or an M.2 drive, but they also said that we could have read and write speeds of up to 20 gigabytes per second, which is absolutely insane. In fact, it's faster than my NVMe currently, my M.2. They could also see storage up to 4 terabytes, and it could feature a new storage technology such as holographic storage or DNA-based storage. Now, what is holographic and DNA-based storage? Well, it's storage that involves storing data as interference patterns in three-dimensional medium such as a crystal, allowing for large amounts of data to be stored in a small amount of space. DNA-based storage involves using DNA molecules to store digital information, taking advantage of the vast amount of information that can be encoded in DNA's chemical structure. Now, this is a little bit crazy for that one, but that would be kind of cool to see the advancement of technology to use some sort of DNA structure or even some sort of crystals. That would be awesome. Just sounds kind of cool, I guess. Now, last but not least, we have the Wi-Fi and connectivity stuff, and they said that it could feature 5G, which might be even like a data plan that they have, in case you're like always on the go, or maybe you need like satellite internet. It also says it could feature Wi-Fi 7 or even 8 technology, which is definitely an advancement there. Now, I also went over the Xbox, the new Xbox specs, just to have a little bit of a comparison, and it gave the same results to me. However, weirdly enough, it actually named the new Xbox, and it named it Xbox Series Z, which I kind of like it, but I think it would be a little bit confusing for next gen. Now, moving on, I asked ChatGPT to give me what titles might be out by 2027, just in general, and they gave out Elder Scrolls 6, which definitely could be out by 2027. They gave out Halo 7, which is definitely odd given that how Halo has been in development and what happened with Infinite. They also talked about GTA 6, which is definitely probably going to be out by 2027. Call of Duty 25, which is crazy that they're on number 25. Wonder what that game is going to be called, or if they're going to bank on nostalgia again like Modern Warfare 2. Here's an interesting one. Cyberpunk 2077 2. Despite a rocky launch, Cyberpunk was one of the most anticipated games of 2020. And this is what ChatGPT said. It's kind of crazy that the AI actually thinks that Cyberpunk 2077 will be out by then. I don't know. It seems like it's going to be a little bit farther away than that. Although be sure to check out my Cyberpunk 2077 video. I have a lot of details in that video as well. Now, for PlayStation exclusives, we have Horizon Zero Dawn 2. We also have The Last of Us Part 3, and I know Last of Us Part 2 got a lot of gripe because of the storyline. Maybe hopefully they either rewrite it or take it a different direction and just kind of give us a better Last of Us 3. Wasn't a fan of 2. God of War 2, the 2018 God of War was a massive success. That could be cool. I know there's been a bunch of, there was a God of War last year, I think it was Ragnarok. I don't really keep up with it because I'm not on PlayStation, so I don't have the exclusives. Then we have Spider-Man 3. I know there's probably going to be a Spider-Man by 2077, and I would assume that a Spider-Man would come out with the new release of the consoles, or at least sometime near it. Then we have Uncharted 5. I know these are like some big games here. Like, man, these are some huge games that people could really see by at least 2027. And it is crazy that ChatGPT was able to pull all this information together, kind of given what the circumstances are, and it not really using the internet per se. But all in all, that does about cover it for both the specs, the games, everything of that nature. And I think I covered it pretty well, and some of these predictions might even be right. You can come back to this video in 2027 and see if they were actually correct. Although, again, 2027 might not be the release of the year of the console. It might be 2028 or 9 or whatever it is. There could be delays. There could be so many other things and variables that happen in between then. But all in all, I thought I'd get this video out there because it is pretty interesting. And if you enjoyed the video, I'd like to like and subscribe. And until the next one, deuces.